Hi everyone, welcome to the Mountain View Technology Showcase 2024, where we're here today, as the sign says, where local innovators meet global influencers. So we'll be walking around and meeting some people who are here today, who are going to inform us why they're here and what they do. Join us. Hi, we're here at, is it pronounced Otterai? Otter, oh, like the animal, Otterai. And we're here with Mitchell today. And he's basically going to start us out talking about the conception of the company and then what the company actually does. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mitchell, take it away.
Yeah, so Otterai is an AI meeting assistant. It can join your meetings and any type of conversation, either virtual or in person. So it can join Zoom calls, Microsoft Team calls, Google Meet calls. It can also, we have a mobile app, so you can just turn it on, press record, and it joins your in-person conversations and meetings. And basically, a lot of your conversations are really valuable. We spend a lot of time in meetings and in conversations. We want to capture it, be able to use it, search it, query it, using AI to capture it and be able to turn it into productivity for knowledge workers.
I like that a lot, especially since we do a lot of meetings where we work, and that would be special. And it saves a lot of time for the executive team or their staff to do that. Now, where are you located?
We're located in Mountain View, California, just 3 blocks down.
Is that right? And how long has the company been in business?
We've been around since around 2017, so a good number of years. We really took off at the beginning of the pandemic when everyone was stuck in their home. We started integrating with Zoom and Google Meet, so a lot of the virtual meeting conferences wanted to use Otter to help their professionals and their teams be more productive while they were at home. So it really took off then.
So I'm just curious, how and who had the concept, and how did you bring it to reality? And if are you a public entity? Are you a private entity? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our 2 co-founders, Sam and Yoon, founded us around 2017, and they were probably a small team of 10 or 15 people that started. And since then, we've grown to almost 150 employees, and we're still a private company. We're a couple of years after our Series B, so pretty well funded. So one challenge is that a lot of people are a little concerned about having an AI tool join their meetings. A lot of conversations and meetings can feel more private. And so that's kind of a hurdle that we have to go through to make sure that we're a trusted AI tool that people can feel comfortable using, and that the pros of having your conversations being recorded really outweigh the cons or the concerns you might have around an AI agent or tool joining your conversations and your meetings. We like to use there's a stat called the forgetting curve, which says that 90% of your conversations are forgotten within a week. So if we can capture that 90% and use it for actionable productivity, it really can save people and knowledge workers a lot of time and a lot of money, hopefully.
Well, also, I think the question was asked that what challenges does the engineering side have, if you'd like to speak on that. I think he's looking at one of our engineers over there. Maybe he wants, would you like him to answer that question?
Because the question is engineering challenges of building Otter.
There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a few things. So it's a quickly growing startup. We have to keep on hiring. So that's a big reason why we're here too. So looking for people to join the team. So hiring, scaling a company, scaling a team, that's always fun. Also, like, the technology is very interesting, and the technology is always a challenge. So the AI field is moving very quickly. The AI field is constantly innovating, and just keeping up with that is not free. So there's a lot of work to just stay on top of things. It's always a learning journey, not just a learning journey for individuals, but a learning journey as a company. And I think that's always for me, that's very fascinating, and I think that's very interesting. And that's the reason why most people join a startup is because things are constantly changing, things are constantly varied, and like you can't stay the same to stay a startup. So.
So, quickly, a quick round question, and you don't have to be long, but I always hear this one on television. AI, good or bad?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's there's AI that people are talking about in the military. Like, I think that's a little bit more controversial, whether it's making decisions on whether this person should exist or not anymore. There's also AI that's like us, where it's like how to help people be more effective. So, like, what we're trying to do is not necessarily replace jobs, is how to make people able to do their job better or get information more cleanly. So for us, for example, like people are already having meetings. So how do you have like transcripts of meetings? How do you have summaries of meetings? How do you remember your meeting better than humans can normally remember meetings? So that's like what we're doing with our AI. So it's very different. You know, we're not trying to replace people or eliminate people. So it's like there are many different categories of it. I think if AI is really just like a spectrum of like, it's just like the next wave of technology. So it's like asking like, is a website good or bad? Like some websites are great, you know, like Google, I use it all the time. Some websites are pretty illegal. They have things that are not great for society. And like so the web is neither good nor bad. It just is in some ways.
It's kind of like going from horse-driven carriage to a jalopy Model T Ford to a Tesla. I mean, wouldn't you say that there's some truth to that people fought every innovation along the way?
Yeah, the way I think about it is like you think about it in terms of like the different industrial ages. So you know, we started with farming, then we moved into an industrial, like agriculture age, industrial age, and I think like up until recently we've been in the information age. I mean, like for example, like Google's where they're here over here, their motto is like organize the world's information. I see AI as changing it not from information but into the next age, which is the knowledge age. So it's like, how do you change information into knowledge? And I think that's like the next wave of advancement that AI is bringing.
Well, you know, you've really informed me. I feel better about what you said. You didn't try to push it and say that it's all good, because you're right. There's the good, the bad, and I'm sure you're working on those challenges every day. Thanks for being with us, and good luck to you and Otter and the company and the whole staff. Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
Hi, we're here with Roger, and Roger's company is called Archer, and I have seen that name, and I think he's going to tell us they're out at Moffett Field, if I'm correct.
About what?
You're out in Moffett Field, if I'm correct.
Moffett Field would be great. Yes, Moffett Field would be great. We're located in San Jose on Tasman. 190 West Tasman is our headquarters building, and we are designing, building, and certifying Midnight, which is the aircraft that you see behind you. And this is all electric, eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing. So it takes off and lands vertically, and then the motors across the front here transition forward, and it transitions to what we call wing-borne flight. So it's the weight of the aircraft is carried by the wing during its most of its flight.
Is there an airplane called the Harrier
Jet is also takes off and lands vertically, but the big distinction, I mean, there's a few big distinctions between Midnight and the Harrier Jet, or the Osprey, which you might also be aware of, has this idea of motors that transition. This is all electric. It's very quiet. Once it gets to 1,500 feet, you really don't even hear it. It's about the same as we're all used to our window air conditioners right now. This is probably in that range when it's taking off and landing. Once it gets to 1,500 feet, you're really not even going to hear it. A Harrier jet, if it was taking off and landing anywhere here in the area, we would be hearing it. It's also all electric, so zero emissions. It's very, very energy or very environment forward, and that's a big part of what is a big part of our company and our purpose for building this aircraft is to create. Right now, commercial aviation adds about 2% to the global carbon input into the atmosphere. This begins to draw that back. We have an investment partner in United Airlines. This is certainly very, very big for them, is to begin to engage in that environmental aspect of aviation. And we also have Southwest Airlines has recently signed up as a partner to build out the concept of operations here in California.
So when you talk about restrictions, and we're talking about the FAA, and you just mentioned 15,000 feet? 1,500 feet.
Is that point where you stop hearing, you would be very unlikely to hear the aircraft.
So what altitude would you take this product after you reach your cruising altitude? And my last question here, passengers or no passengers?
Okay, so we would be flying, below 5,000 feet. And initially we would be staying out of the restricted airspace that you see commercial aircraft flying. Staying out of that area, essentially operating the same way a helicopter that is flying through the airspace. We're in contact with air traffic control, but we're staying out of the routes that are restricted and controlled by and used by commercial aircraft.
Pilot, no pilot, or is it being administered from the ground?
Okay, so great questions. This is a pilot. This is certainly one of the differentiators for Archer is that we have it's a piloted aircraft. I think we're all more comfortable with a pilot in the aircraft with us, and there's 4 passengers.
And so I'm an executive with a large corporation. And are you running now? Are taking passengers now? It is just in the conception. When can I look forward to taking it to a meeting in San Francisco?
Sure. We're still a couple of years away, probably, from our initial operation. Let's say by the end of 2025 into 2026 is when we intend to begin our commercial operations. And but I also, you said an executive, that implies someone who's a bit elite, and this is intended for everybody. This is an air taxi that gives all of us another way of getting around our community here in the Bay Area or other communities that we're working on with United Airlines and Southwest. So right now, the way we get around is pretty two-dimensional. It's our cars, buses, and trains. This provides a means to use that airspace below 5,000 feet to move people around their communities, connect with people in Livermore, Napa, Salinas, Half Moon Bay, and be able to get there in 15 or 20 minutes. After work, you want to go see your kids in Livermore, jump on one of these, and you're out there in time for dinner.
That sounds fun. And so you mentioned, and I'm very interested because we have United in my family, we have myself, Southwest in my family, so I flew for them. And I was wondering if, what kind of a collaboration, what are they adding to your value?
Sure. So one use case for Midnight is that we're bringing passengers into SFO or SJC or OAK and delivering passengers either at or close by the terminal so that you get from Livermore to OAK to catch your flight on Southwest in 15 or 20 minutes, and you're delivered to at or close to the terminal. You walk into the terminal, up into the boarding area, and onto your aircraft. So that's the collaboration we have with these 2 airlines, and really commercial aviation from as a whole is a way of bringing in a more sustainable and less environmental impact means of transporting passengers.
So here we are at 2024, and we have 4 passengers right now. What do we see in 2050?
Wow. That's... I think we'll see a few of these flying. I think this will be the way when we want to go to the city. We pull out our phone and we look at it. We pull up the Archer app, or maybe we even pull up the Uber app, and or even the Caltrains app, and it says you can go on. You can take Uber, and it's going to take you 90 minutes to get there, or you can take. Oh, here's one that says Uber/Archer, or Lyft/Archer, or Waymo/Archer. And it's the first and last part of that trip is handled on the ground but the bulk of the trip is handled in an aircraft like this. I also see a better battery, and when we talk about batteries that are lighter and more energy dense, so we all want a better battery, right? Wouldn't it be great to plug in your phone and not have to worry about it for a month, or maybe not ever, and it's charged and ready to go? We need that for this aircraft as well, as a lighter, more energy dense battery that it gives us the ability to extend that. And I mean, we all want this. That technology, that battery technology, is not just a pipe dream. I believe it's coming at some point before 2050.
Wow, you really gave me a good education, and our folks out there are very thankful to that, and we may need to get you on KMVT and do a program with you. How's that sound?
Maybe you ought to come by Archer. We're in San Jose. We're right around the corner. Come by and see. It's a great place to work. Some most amazing, brilliant people I've ever worked with, and it's a great place, and it's right here in our backyard. Happening. We're changing aviation right here.
That's great. Well, we're going from the Model T to the prop to jets, and now we're going to go to electric. So
Don't forget the Wright brothers.
well, can never.
By the way, we have a Wright brother descendant that works for Archer as head of our certification.
Now that's full circle. Well, thank you very much, Roger. You've been very interesting, and I really learned a lot. Thank you. Well, have a good show.
Thank you, Carol.
Hi, everyone. We're here with Claire. She's a Mountain View High School Spartan, and she does robotics at the school. And here we are in front of a robot, and I'm going to let Claire educate me on exactly what the Spartans at Mountain View High School do in this program. Claire, just give me a little bit of background.
Sounds great. All right, so we participate in a competition called FRC, which stands for First Robotics Competition. And every January, we're given a new game that we have to play. And thousands of teams all over the world are also given this game. And then we have until March, so about 2 months, to design in CAD, so that's online design, like 3D design, this entire robot, manufacture it and assemble it before we compete at 2 regional events. And then if we win those events or qualify, as we did the past 3 years, we get to go to World Champs in Houston in April, which is great.
So you have been to the World Championship, and how did you do?
3 times we went to World Champs, and last year we got into the elimination round in our bracket, and the previous year we got into also the elimination round at our bracket, which is pretty great. So there are thousands of teams who compete in this challenge, and I think last year 400 of them were at World Champs, which was amazing to see so many people.
Okay, I'm curious about something.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to death. How did you get an interest in being in robotics? And are you going on to becoming an engineer and maybe taking this into a career?
Yeah, for sure. So freshman year, I joined the team at the beginning of the school year. My parents work in the computer chip industry, so I was always kind of interested in STEM. And I knew that the robotics club at our team was very active, so I just decided to check it out. And then my first year, I was a little bit less involved, but then the next year I got really involved in mechanical engineering side. And last year I was actually the co-president of the team, which was awesome. And I got to lead my own mechanism on the robot. And I think that in college, I'm planning on majoring in mechanical engineering.
Oh, that's very good. And I like the fact that you're going to strive to something that high, and that's very good. So tell me, we don't have to film this now, but I'd like to know, we're standing by a robot right now, and I'd like to know what you did to make this from 0 to 2 months later and what this robot actually does.
Yeah, so the first stages, we began with brainstorming and prototyping. So we use wood without any computer design, and we start brainstorming mechanisms to play the game. So basically the game this year was the robot had to pick up these notes from the ground or from a station and shoot them into kind of a goal. There were 2 goals that it could shoot into. We don't have them with us today, but we landed on an intaking mechanism that folds down and sucks the note into the robot. And then we have a transfer system inside the robot that brings the note into this catapult. And you'll probably see it running later today. And then this catapult can lift up and shoot the note with an arm into the goal. And my specific mechanism was the drivetrain. So I began with CAD, which is computer-aided design, so it's 3D graphic design. And I CAD'd the entire drive base, which is the wheels and the gearboxes and everything. And then we manufacture them in our machine shop on the router and on the lathe, and we have various machines that we use, and then we work to assemble it. So.
Oh, that's
Great
excellent.
process, yeah.
That is really excellent. And what year in school will you be come the fall?
I'm a rising senior.
Oh, you're already at senior. Okay, so you started this when you were a freshman, and then as opposed to everybody else on the team, what grades are they mainly in?
So I would say my grade is pretty large because it was the first year that we were fully running again after COVID. But I think our biggest grade right now might actually be the rising sophomores. We had a lot of new freshmen last year, but it's really amazing to have been on the team for 3 full years, and I'm excited for my 4th one.
And so this will be your last one when you go to the competition and you win it, of course. And when do you have to go from a maybe primary competition all the way to the main, or how does that work?
So we start, and our team attends 2 regional events. We normally go to San Francisco and then Monterey Bay. And if you win one of those events, which we did last year or the year before, or you qualify in a different way, so there are various awards that you can win. There are 2 that qualify you. Then you're qualified to go to World Champs. So we've done that for the past 3 years.
And that's exciting, and I guess you're getting ready for college right now and sending your applications out. And I wish you luck, and I hope you make it to MIT because that would be a great dream, don't you think?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hi, we're here today with Florian from In Orbit Robots. Is that right?
Yeah, so we do robot operations, or RobOps for short. So we're the software that makes all the robots work together.
Teach me. I know nothing about it. I am not technical, and you're going to give me a quick tutorial on what you do, when you started, who you are.
Yeah, I mean, even if you walk around here, you see lots of different robots, robots in the air, robots on the ground, on the streets. We call them cars, like self-driving cars, but they're still robots. So what we do is we help the companies that make the robots make better robots, and we help the companies that use the robots get more value out of them. So think about the software, for example, that runs an airport, right? You have the control tower, it's telling all the airplanes what to do. We're like the control tower, but for robots.
Well, that's interesting. But where are you located, and when did you start?
Yeah, so the company is based here in Mountain View. We are actually have an office that's open to the public here on Castor Street. And part of the goal there is to, demystify robots. Like if I tell you, what's a robot, you may have a different idea than what I have in my head. You may be thinking Terminator or, industrial robots in factories. But now we, even like I said, walking around here, you can see drones, you can see wheeled robots. So we want to show people what we do. It's also, we work with lots of different robotics companies, so we have an ecosystem of partners. So it's a way to showcase our ecosystem partners to customers, right? And we make it all work together. So we started the company about 6 years ago, and now we have hundreds of robots that we help in 4 continents.
Oh, that's interesting. And you're based here. And you would, just if I'm correct, and if I'm hearing you correctly, if not, correct me, you would work for one of the people that we've been seeing here today, and you would be behind the scene of that company, and your stable of engineers would go in and maybe they have a challenge, and you have to fix that challenge. Am I right?
No, it's a software platform. So our customers will use it themselves, right? So they connect their robot to our platform, and now they're getting data all the time about the robots. They can find out if a robot has a problem. They can figure out how to solve the problem, sometimes remotely. So if you think about a robot, it may be running in a field, helping plant the next season, right? Or it may be running in a warehouse. So if you're the robotics company, you don't have people on site necessarily. So our platform allows them to see all the robots wherever they are, understand their health, and make sure that they're doing their job.
What is your biggest challenge in 2024 doing what you do, working with these people, training them on your platform?
Yeah, so I think what we're seeing is an explosion in the number of robots, which is a great problem to have. We see more and more robots in more and more cases. Another example is we work with hospitals, and they're using robots to offload some of the tasks from nurses and from the staff, especially the boring tasks that are like pushing a heavy cart for miles every day. So what we see is robots are being now deployed in many new different environments, and each one is its own little world, right? So our platform makes it a lot easier for them to adapt to each of these scenarios.
Okay, now here's a real neophyte question for you. Is AI involved in this?
100%. All of these robots are using AI. They can see obstacles. They can figure out how to work around them. So modern robots have sensors. The sensors allow them to see the world, but then you need AI to make sense of what you're seeing and then to make plans, right? So how are you going to respond? So robots use AI, modern robots use AI. We also use AI to make sense of this massive amounts of data that is being captured and to make it easy to use for people who don't necessarily have a double PhD in robotics, but they're responsible for running a warehouse.
Okay, that brings up a good question. You just gave me a good question. We've interviewed some kids here that are with a high school, and they have competitions, and so to me that just seems like the infancy of it all. How did you end up getting into robotics ahead of the field, so to speak, because you're already up and running?
Yeah, so one thing I'll say is we support the Mountain View High School robotics team. Go Spartans. But we also what we're trying to do is get people, as I mentioned before, educated about robotics. So at our, we call it the robot space here on Castro Street, we have toys that are robotics related for children from age 3 to age 93. Because I think robots are cool and everyone likes them. In my case, I worked on really high-scale companies, with 1 billion users, and what I was looking for is, where's the next, the next innovation? And I think this idea that robots are here to help. They're not just in factories or away from normal people, from us regular people. They're parts of our lives. And even here in Mountain View, we've seen robots doing sidewalk delivery. We've seen, self-driving cars on the streets. They're all using some of the same technology. So I think it's fascinating.
So when you talk about your store location, we'll call it a brick location, you say that people can just drop in, or should they have an appointment with their children, without children? What would you say?
All of that, all of the above. So we have opening hours where, unless there's an event going on, where you can just walk in and see the robots at work. We have robot toys that help you understand how robots work, where we can sell some of those robots if you want, or you can try them out. So we also host a lot of events. Over there, we have had, for example, Women in Robotics. We have had UC Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon. We had, just 2 weeks ago, we had a group of 40 high school to grad school students who came in, and we let them basically take control over, $500,000 worth of robots and let them play with it, which is not something that you normally get. So we're really, there's this big emphasis on connecting with the community.
It sounds fascinating, and thank you so much, because you took me from infancy and you brought me up to a double PhD. So Florian, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being with us today.
And I hope you'll come and visit us. We're on 293 Castro Street.
293 Castro Street, and I'm sure you have a website too that people want to look you up.
Inorbit.ai.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, we're here today at MatterNet, and we're with Joe. Joe, what's your last name?
Graves.
Joe Graves, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what MatterNet is all about and what they do. Here you go, Joe.
We at Matternet build drone logistics systems, and we are out here at the Mountain View Technology Showcase because we are launching free drone delivery for residents of Mountain View. And we are so excited because we've been headquartered here in the beautiful city of Mountain View since 2019. We deliver urgent items like medical goods and other things that people really need in areas all around the world. So we've been operating in Switzerland since 2017, delivering urgent medical items in between hospitals over heavily populated areas like Zurich, and in the United States since 2019. So we are very, very excited to bring this wonderful technology to our home here in Mountain View. So this aircraft here is called the M2. It can fly 4.5 pounds, 12.5 miles. And so the free service that we are launching will deliver various food items to residents here. And we're just really excited to get feedback from the community and translate that feedback into our product.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Since I am a neophyte in this technology, if I were at home and Amazon subscribed to this, would this be a delivery service that could be used in that capacity?
Absolutely. You know, we are a technology provider, so any company could use our technology to deliver goods.
Okay, that's very interesting. And you said you've been doing this since 2019, is that correct?
We've actually been doing it for much longer. Our company was founded in 2011, and we've been doing commercial deliveries since 2014 all around the world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in Europe, and here in the United States. Our recurring deliveries happened starting in 2017 in Switzerland, and then here in the U.S. since 2019. This particular aircraft, the M2, has over 50,000 flights. It is the first ever FAA type certified civilian drone delivery aircraft. That is the same certification that, like, the aircraft that you fly across the U.S. Has. So this thing is safe. It's trusted, and we're just very excited to be able to bring this technology to the people of our community so that they can see the benefits that can be granted by it. You know, we often get, you know, our burritos, our salads delivered by these massive vehicles, and I think it's time that we all think about the environmental impact that has. These drones have zero emissions, right? So it can do things much faster than a car, and it can do things with much less environmental impact than a car.
May I ask a question? If I were to have something delivered to my home, what's the capacity of weight that this drone can carry?
This drone in particular can carry 4.5 pounds.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's a few sandwiches, I'd say.
That is a whole meal. But I would also like to know that just mechanically, I order something from whomever, and they put this on the drone. It lifts up. Now, see how neophyte I am? It lifts up, and then it flies across what height, you know, like there might be a restriction of 10,000 feet, like the FAA has for airplanes. What would this drone restrictions be?
So we fly at 400 feet. So we are not going to interfere with any of the manned aircraft, but, you know, unmanned traffic management is very important in our industry, and so we always maintain awareness of the other aircraft that is in the airspace. And, you know, not just Matternet, all the companies that are in our industry are going to do that. So I think one of the things that Matternet has been best at is staying at the forefront of the regulatory challenges. So we've been doing this for a long time, and we've really worked hand in hand with various regulatory bodies here in the U.S. and in other countries to you know, advance this technology and be able to do what we do safely and in the best interest of the public. And that's something that we're really, really proud of at Matternet.
Where are you located, and where are your headquarters? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we are at 355 Ravendale here in Mountain View.
Oh, you're local. Okay, that's great. And you've been local all the time.
We moved to Mountain View in 2019. But we've been local to the Bay Area since our founding in 2011 here in Silicon Valley. We started in Menlo Park and then, came to Mountain View in 2019.
Is this privately held or publicly held?
Privately.
Privately held. Well, I hope you nothing but the best, and it's very exciting and innovating, just like the showcase today.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here.
And thank you.